The reverse retros have dropped, and Edmonton Oilers fans have a lot of opinions on that. We will talk about that and so much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers.
You're Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Locked On Oilers podcast. I am your host and former Oilers game day producer, Brett Holden. As mentioned on today's episode, the reverse retros are out and people have a lot of opinions on them. We will go over some of the feedback and just what the jerseys do look like and some of my reaction to the jersey as well. We will talk about that in just a bit, but also coming up, the Edmonton Oilers play the Carolina Hurricanes at home tonight, and Dylan Holloway is not in the lineup. How will the Oilers line up tonight? We will talk about that and just some of the outcomes that could come out of tonight's game against the Carolina Hurricanes as well. Also, our Ghost of Oilers pass is back today, and the quick little hint on today's Ghost, well, we've already talked about the trade piece that was involved in his trade already away from the Edmonton Oilers. There's a little bit of a teaser for you for today's Ghost of Oilers Pass. Thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you find your podcasts. Alrighty, let's head off to the headline for today. As for some reason, despite the fact that we are in the midst of regular season hockey, the headline has to do with jerseys. So the NHL released all 32 of the reverse retro jerseys today. The Edmonton Oilers one is, well, exactly how a lot of people expected it to be, as Tom Gazzola made it the worst kept secret of all time, essentially. But either way, the Edmonton Oilers' new reverse retro is a throwback to those old McFarlane jerseys with the gear cog up the middle. I can't lie, those jerseys, like the original ones, were like my favorite jerseys growing up. I had a Dwayne Rollison one growing up, got him to sign that, have it hung up in my room, in my basement back in my parents' place. And it is nostalgic, but beyond all nostalgic, for me at least. Now the Edmonton Oilers come out with these new ones and people aren't happy with them. The old logos, or at least the new logo from the old logo that the Edmonton Oilers made for the reverse retro, now has an orange oil drop in it. Which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense, does it? Especially when you take a look at all Oilers jerseys, like this one. That I pull out. If you're listening on audio, I apologize, but I have the old Oilers about 2000 jersey from about the Doug Waite era to the Ryan Smith era type jersey. And the Edmonton Oilers logo has always had an orange or a copper oil drop. And now the Edmonton Oilers do that because it makes sense, and people are not happy about it. The Edmonton Oilers also introduced orange piping around the arms and the waist, and also around the numbers for the jersey. I think it's a nice touch. It looks really good on the numbers, especially. It really helps them pop. And the old ones I thought were a little too bland, even though I was a big fan of them. Now they pop even more. They have that orange piping around them. It's not just white and silver, so I like it. But what I think a lot of people are getting caught up on is, oh, the colors, they should have just kept it the same. Why didn't they keep it the same? Well, the entire point of the reverse retros is to not have it be the exact same. The reverse retros are as a statement. Some Annie OD, I believe her name is, on TikTok and on Twitter, of a relatively well-known hockey personality, and as she put it, and I thought it was perfectly well done, the reverse retro's intention is to honor the past while still acknowledging where the organization is now. Those aren't her exact words. Those are just more along the lines of what the reverse retro's intentions are. And that is what these are. So now you have the vintage, or the early 2000s old cog Seth McFarlane, McFarlane jerseys. And with that touch of now. And now people don't like it. It doesn't make sense. In the New Jersey, you get a touch of both, With the past, you have that gear logo that is gorgeous. I love it. You have the midnight blue as the main color of the jersey. You don't have the blue of it's a different blue than the blue on the Oilers alternate jerseys. So you got to acknowledge that as well. At least it looks like it. It might not be. I mean, I'm legally blind, so I'm probably wrong there. But you also have the old font from the old jerseys as well, and the laces on the neck are the exact same as well. So you get that vintage feel from those jerseys while also getting the present of the orange piping on all the numbers, the around the waist and the arms as well. The orange in the logo, obviously, as well. And it's literally the color of the Oilers. Like, yeah, I don't know where else you can get it wrong, but I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of it. I know nobody's going to like something 100%. There's always going to be the stragglers, but I sent out a tweet that has not put a lot of good taste in people's mouths today, but that is okay. I said, if you don't like the jersey, just admit that you're old. That's okay. But it's a joke either way. But I like the jerseys. I like them. They'll look even better, at least hopefully, on the ice. But that's just a wait and see type thing. Let me know what you think of the jersey. I'm sure if you're going to comment on this, you're probably not going to like the jersey. But let me know why. Don't just tell me, oh, it's ugly. Let me know why it's ugly. Somebody let me know that they thought the orange was it wasn't bright enough. Like it didn't pop on the jersey enough. Which, hey, that's a good call. If you don't think it pops enough, it doesn't pop enough. I'm behind that. But again, I mean, literally, if your issue is the orange of the oil drop, take a look at every Oilers jersey in history, and that oil drop is orange. So if all of a sudden you got an issue with orange oil drops, I don't know what to tell you. You don't like much anyways. But either way, it's not about the product off the ice. It's about the product on the ice. And the Carolina Hurricanes are on the ice at Rogers Place tonight against the Edmonton Oilers in a 2006 Stanley Cup rematch. And that was actually one of the years that the Edmonton Oilers had those jerseys. So talk about timing. We have some news regarding the game. Who is in, who is out for the game against the Carolina Hurricanes. We will get to that in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about our partners over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season as well. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. It is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB. As mentioned, the NBA season is getting started. It is started. My favorite team, the Clippers, are playing tonight against the LA Lakers. So everybody else has gotten their season started except for my team. I hate it. But the NHL, obviously, also on BetOnline. MMA, UFC, boxing, golf. I think I've found like Turkish soccer in there as well. So you got a little bit of everything on BetOnline. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Alrighty, moving into tonight's game against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Edmonton Oilers have some team news heading into that game. Dylan Holloway will not be playing for the Edmonton Oilers tonight, ruled out with what is being called an upper body injury, as Jay Woodcroft has confirmed he is day-to-day. That is from Tony Brar today. So that means the Edmonton Oilers have a little bit of a different lineup heading into the game against the Carolina Hurricanes, the Stanley Cup potentially favorites, at least in the conversation for it, Carolina Hurricanes. So it is a big game for the Edmonton Oilers and a big game to really prove themselves from the start of the last couple of games. The Vancouver Canucks are the Vancouver Canucks. The Calgary Flames, the Calgary Flames are a top-notch team. The Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames had a pretty good battle. The Buffalo Sabres are the Buffalo Sabres that were backstopped, as most of their massive wins over the last couple of years have been from fantastic goaltending. And that's exactly what happened again for the Buffalo Sabres against the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the Edmonton Oilers go up against a team that it has a full four lines, a fantastic defensive core, one of the more underrated defensive cores, if you can even call it that. You're going up against an elite goaltender in Frederik Andersen, and Antti Raanta is still behind him there, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he's still there. This is a good hockey team. This is a real test for the Oilers tonight against a good hockey team. So, the Edmonton Oilers now losing a relatively key component to their team. Yes, he's only 3 games into his career, but he is still a rather trustworthy guy to have out on the ice, depending on who you ask. Jay Woodcroft has said he is more than comfortable and more than okay with having Dylan Holloway in the lineup and out on the ice. Now you don't have that. So what happens? Somebody's going to have to get promoted somewhere. The Edmonton Oilers, the expectation for the Oilers lines tonight against the Hurricanes go like this. Evander Kane, Connor McDavid, and Kyler Yamamoto will make up the first line. Now the second line is where the promotions start. Zach Hyman, Leon Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins will be the Edmonton Oilers' second line. At least that is the expectation. The third line, the expectation here, and this was actually brought up specifically to Jay Woodcroft in his presser today. Warren Foegele, Ryan McLeod, and Jesse Puljujärvi as a third line. It is expected as well that it'll be an 11-7 with Shore and Ryan being the fourth line. Didn't hear much about Brad Malone. There was no morning skate today, so we won't know lines until warm-ups exactly. But the other thing is despite these lines here, which we will get to the third and second lines in a second, as Jay Woodcroft said, the important thing is flexibility. And that was something that we have been talking about over the last couple of days for the Edmonton Oilers, and being able to run that 11-7, especially with not only Niemelainen being in the lineup, but also as well Dylan Holloway. Now Dylan Holloway is not in the lineup, and now the Edmonton Oilers have to, it sounds wrong, but break that spine of the team with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Ryan McLeod, and now they have to put Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with Leon Draisaitl. That's okay. Because now the Edmonton Oilers have a second line of Zach Hyman, Leon Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, which was the line who found that second goal against the Buffalo Sabres. These are much more similar to the lines that the Edmonton Oilers, ran in the playoffs. And that's exactly what Jay Woodcroft said today. He was very, and I don't want to say very excited, but the prospect of potentially having a line of Warren Foegele, Ryan McLeod, and Jesse Puljujärvi was something that was pretty okay with Jay Woodcroft today. As he said, Warren Foegele, Ryan McLeod, and Jesse Puljujarvi are three guys who can skate. Jesse Puljujarvi is a guy who can break up the play in the back check for the Edmonton Oilers and can also turn the play around and start a forecheck for the team as well. Ryan McLeod, a full 200-foot player, already has a goal this year. A lot of expectations on the kid. He has a big season for him, especially when it comes to it being a contract year, and one of the best skaters on the team. Then you also put him with another one of the top skaters on the team with Warren Foegele, who's just an absolute buzzsaw, who goes everywhere on the ice, throws his body everywhere, throws the puck everywhere, as we see as to why Dylan Holloway is out of the lineup, but is still a guy who will put everything into every shift. That third line is an energy line for the Edmonton Oilers, and that'll be a very important line to roll out after Kane, McDavid, Yamamoto, and Hyman, Draisaitl, and Nugent-Hopkins. But, again, the Edmonton Oilers sounds like they're going to have an 11-7 lineup, and the fourth line will probably be Devon Shore and Derek Ryan. So who goes with them? We saw sometimes Connor McDavid was out there against the Buffalo Sabres with them. I expect Ryan McLeod will also get a lot of time with them as well, which he did against the Buffalo Sabres as well. Again, this also gives you the flexibility of if the Edmonton Oilers get down to a very good team, they can roll out McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, McDavid, Draisaitl, Kane, and then come out with another line of Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, Kane. Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, Yamamoto. Nugent-Hopkins, Kane, and Yamamoto. This gives you that flexibility of then if things start not going your way, well, here's Connor McDavid with so-and-so and so-and-so. Which sounds kind of counterproductive when quite often the gripe of Dave Tippett, Todd McClellan was, as soon as things started going wrong, the lines were all over the place. Yeah, well, the lines were all over the place when the Edmonton Oilers had a fourth line of Gaetan Haas and Joakim Nygard as well. And then on top of it, you go, you know what, let's go and play Connor McDavid between those two. Now the Edmonton Oilers have the ability to go in the lineup that would be a Gaetan Haas and Joakim Nygard. You can go throw out there Ryan McLeod in between the two of them. I know Haas was a centerman. I'm just using it as an example here. But this now gives you a better flexibility and a comfortable flexibility heading into a game against a Stanley Cup favorite, a team that you're supposed to be just as good as, at least in the conversation, same conversation as. So it's time to show it. And that everybody knows about your stars. They don't know about your depth, and your depth have to be the ones who step up tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. Almost called them the Calgary Flames. But the Carolina Hurricanes are in town, and they play at 7 o'clock in Edmonton tonight. A rematch of the 2006 Stanley Cup Final. One of my earlier memories. I don't want to say earliest memory because I was about 10 years old when it happened. But earlier memories in hockey. An interesting thing is that a player on that 05-06 team is actually our Ghost of Oilers past today. So the two hints heading into the Ghost of Oilers past is that we have covered his trade already, at least the guy who was traded to the Oilers in his trade that he left. And then the other hint is that he also played in the 05-06 Stanley Cup Final. The answer to that ghost of the Ghost of Oilers past, I almost said Christmas past again. The Ghost of Oilers past, the answer to those two hints are coming up in just a second. But first, I want to thank you for making Locked On Oilers your first listen today. Now for your second listen, make sure you tune in to Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Steele Roden and Flip Livingstone bring you the fantasy edge and keep you ahead of the competition with daily updates of news, analysis, and advice Monday through Friday. Available on YouTube, Odyssey, and wherever you find your podcasts. Alrighty, moving into the Ghost of Oilers Past for our final period of today's episode, and this one is a fun one. As mentioned already, we covered the guy who is coming into Edmonton on his trade, or in his trade out of Edmonton. He was on the 2005-2006 Stanley Cup run team, as he played 18 games in that Stanley Cup run. It was actually his first year in the NHL at the time of that Stanley Cup run. He would play 2 more seasons after that with the Edmonton Oilers, 3 in total, before getting traded to the Los Angeles Kings alongside Jarrett Stoll for Lubomir Visnovsky. I'm talking about shutdown defenseman Matt Greene. Yes, Matt Greene is today's Ghost of Oilers Past. I don't know how I got it. Again, I normally just find a random page, find a random Oiler, and that is the one. And he happened to be the one today. And Matt Greene genuinely was one of my favorite defensemen for the Oilers at the time. If I'm not mistaken, he may have been paired up with Tom Gilbert, which couple of names there, but Tom Gilbert as well, one of my favorite players. Or well, actually, no, that's a lie. But now that I'm older, I wish I liked Tom Gilbert more. But he's not the Ghost of Oilers Past. It's Matt Greene for the Edmonton Oilers. As in his first full season, not even his first full season, his first season as a pro, he came up in 2005-2006, that fateful year, and played 27 games for the Edmonton Oilers. Got 2 assists in that season, and you got a real taste of who Matt Greene really was in those 27 games. 43 penalty minutes for him in those 27 games. Then it got into the playoffs as that faithful team, one of my favorite teams of all time for the Oilers. Got into 18 of those playoff games, got an assist as well in the playoffs. 34 penalty minutes in those playoffs as well. He also, as mentioned, he would go on to play 2 more seasons with the Edmonton Oilers, 78 games in 06-07, where he scored his only goal as an Edmonton Oiler, a career high in points as an Edmonton Oiler as well that year, with 9 assists. He would get 10 points that year and 109 penalty minutes. That was Matt Greene. That was Matt Greene right there. And then finally, in his final season as an Edmonton Oiler, got into 46 games, no goals, 1 assist, with 1 point that season, 53 penalty minutes. He got sent down at one point, played for Springfield. I think he only played for Springfield for one game. The Falcons back then, when they were the Edmonton Oilers affiliate. I think he only got into 1 game. But at the end of that year, on June 29th, 2008, him and Jarrett Stoll would be sent off to Los Angeles in exchange for Lubomir Visnovsky, and that is where Matt Greene would play out his career, would finish his career with the Los Angeles Kings. 9 more seasons for Greener out in Hollywood. 2 Stanley Cups there. Part of that dynasty of a team, a fantastic team there as well. He would go on to retire in 2017, relatively recently. Weird to think about as well. Right now, He is currently works as a player development, or it has a player development role within the Los Angeles Kings organization as well. If you look up Matt Greene Kings on Twitter and you look at videos, there's a video of him talking with, or at least coaching, the LA Kings there, probably with the younger guys, and his edge work from the blue line to the red line and to the face-off dot. It looks like he's still playing. It looks pretty impressive. I mean, Matt Greene, born in 1983, so if my quick maths is all right, I believe is 45. I might be wrong there, but no, he's certainly not 45. 35 would be the word age I'm looking for, just to confirm. 39. There you go. Oh yeah, 83. See, shows. I think it's still 2015. So it shows my math there. Matt Greene, 39 years old, could still probably play. But also for Matt Greene, just a nice little note here as well. He went to the University of North Dakota as a player before he came into the NHL. And the University of North Dakota is having a little Matt Greene night on January 21st against Minnesota Duluth. Matt Greene will be suiting up for the anthems and taking a skate around in the University of North Dakota end before the anthems as well. I think they're calling it the University of North Dakota Final Shift. So he goes out for a final shift, goes out there for the anthems there, excuse me, and a nice little touch for one of my favorite Oilers growing up. I know he was only here for less than 200 games as an Oiler, but still, he was always one of my favorites growing up. It sucked seeing him move to Los Angeles, because him and Jarrett Stoll was one of my favorite players for the Oilers as well. But congratulations to him on a fantastic career, very underrated career for Matt Greene. I feel like he needs to get a lot more respect than he does. But either way, let's call it there. The Carolina Hurricanes are in Edmonton tonight. A battle of Alberta, a rematch of the 2006 Stanley Cup final, final that Matt Greene played in. That tells you how long ago that series was. What a time, what a time. This is going to be a nostalgic game. As, hey, I believe those jerseys for the Carolina Hurricanes are very similar to those ones they wore in 2006. So try not to get too nostalgic tonight, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night. I hope you enjoy the game. Stay safe, and hopefully at the end of it, we can all play La Bamba, baby.